We're here today to talk about the Remigo One electric outboard. Remigo is a company based in Europe, and they've been selling these in Europe for a couple years now, but they just kind of got to the US market last fall. We recently signed on to become a dealer for them. We're excited about this electric outboard because, as you can see, it's a totally different form factor compared to other 1 kilowatt, 3 horsepower electric outboards on the market. We'll talk a little bit more about the features as we get into this video, but just as an overview of what you get when you buy the Remigo One, it's everything that you see on this table here. So you have the motor that has its unique kind of bracket and tiller system, as well as the outboard bracket that you mount to the stern of your boat. You get 2 kill switch keys. These actually power your motor on and off. You get a wrench and an Allen key that you can use to adjust the shaft length of the Remigo One. We'll talk more about that in a bit. You have your standard AC charger here. One end is for a wall outlet, one end is for the Remigo, and then finally your warranty certificate and your user manual. To set this up, put it onto your boat, or in this case our motor mount here. We'll put the bracket on first. This is nice because this is designed to live on your boat, so you don't have to take it on and off all the time. We're going to pull this pin off. We're going to flip our tiller up. And then we'll drop it right on. Put our pin back in, and then we're all set up. So there are a few features that the Remigo One has that really makes it stand out to us. This might not be the perfect electric outboard for everybody, but it's certainly the perfect electric outboard for some. So first of all, the design is totally different than other 1 kilowatt, 3 horsepower electric outboards. It's kind of designed around a sailboat's rudder, right? So it's a similar shape to that. And there's really just not too much in the way of moving parts. Right, no cables. Contacts on the cables are one of the most common issues we see with electric outboards. So by building the battery right into the shaft, Remigo has eliminated cables. All you have is the charging port here, the vent for the battery, 2 buttons, and then the prop. Other than that, there's no other seals, no way for water to get in or out. The key, the kill switch, is what turns the motor on and on. So there's no power button. You just put the key on like so. You'll see these lights start to go, and after a couple of seconds, you're all powered on and ready to use your motor. Another feature that we really like is the outboard bracket. So instead of having to undo these bolts every time you want to take your motor on and off of your boat, all you have to do is pull that pin off, lift this up, and you're good to go. The tiller folds down. You just pull that out, and then it's quite easy to carry your motor. Another thing that makes the Remigo One stand out is that it's the lightest outboard in its class. So what I was just lifting up, the motor itself, along with its kind of tiller and this part of the bracket, weighs 27 pounds. And then all together with the bracket, you're at about 32 pounds. So it's significantly lighter than the Torqeedo and the e-Propulsion Spirit and Torqeedo Travel. The shafts on those motors about 23, 24 pounds, and this motor itself is just 27. So if you're concerned about weight on the stern of your boat, the Remigo One is a great choice. Another feature we really like is how easy it is to lock and unlock the steering. So right now we can steer this as normal. If we want to lock it, we pull the tiller out, lift it up, and now this is locked in place. So if you're a sailor and you want to use your sailboat's rudder to steer sometimes, it's super easy to lock and unlock the Remigo One. So in terms of charging options, you have 4 different chargers for the Remigo One. The one in front of me here is the standard AC charger that comes with the motor when you buy it. And with the standard charger, it takes about 6 hours to go from 0 to full. If that's not fast enough for you, you can buy the fast AC charger. That reduces your charge time down to 3 hours. And again, just plugs into a regular wall outlet, just like this charger. And then you have solar charging and DC charging options. The DC charger is estimated to take 10 to 12 hours to fully charge the Remigo One. And then the solar charge controller, how long that takes is a little bit more complex. Has to do with the size of the solar panel that you pair the charge controller with and how much sun that charge controller is getting. But that's a good thing to just kind of top up the motor throughout the day, especially for cruising sailors, and using it in addition to an AC charger. So we have all of those charging options available in the online store. We'll link all that below in the description. But for most people, we expect the standard AC charger to be a good place to start. Recommend trying that first and then buying another charger if you need to. So the battery of the Remigo One is built into the shaft. It's 1,080 watt hours. So that's exactly the same as the Torqeedo travel battery, and just a little bit less than the ePropulsion Spirit battery. So in terms of battery capacity, you're very similar to other 3 horsepower electric outboards. And then range, similar as well. So Remigo's data is that at full power, you're doing about 5 knots. Obviously depends on boat conditions, a few other factors. But at full power, 5 knots, you should get about an hour of runtime. Remigo estimates that at about 3 knots, you get about 4 hours of runtime. So just like other electric outboards, as you reduce your power output, your speed does not go down proportionally. So if you need more than an hour of runtime, you just go a little bit slower and you can get where you need to go. One of the drawbacks of the Remigo is that you don't get real runtime data. So there's kind of 2 sets of lights on here. Once we put our key in, you'll see those light up. And on my left-hand side here is our state of charge. So there's 10 lights, so that's rounding to the nearest 10%. So right now we're closest to 100%. And then as I turn the motor on, you'll see the light on the other side go, and we have 10 speed settings here. So every time I click this, we go up 10% more until we're finally at 100%. And then to stop it, I can press both at the same time. But essentially, in terms of runtime, very similar to other 1 kilowatt electric outboards that are on the market. You don't get to see your real runtime data like you do on ePropulsion and Torqeedo motors, but you can still see your state of charge, of course, and you'll get an idea as you use the motor, how quickly you go through that battery. So a few other features we really like about the Remigo One is that it's really built to be in salt water. It's designed with marine grade aluminum. It has 3 anodes, has one that's on the bracket here, one that's behind the propeller, and one that you can't see because it's in front of the prop there. And finally, you'll notice that the tiller of the Remigo One, while we use it to steer, we don't use it to control our speed. We actually control our speed with these 2 buttons here. We're going to try this out in the water in a minute, and you'll get to see it in action, but it's certainly a little bit different than a standard combustion outboard or other electric outboards where you twist the tiller to adjust your speed. When I first saw this, I thought it would be a little bit clunky using it, but after doing it a couple times, it's pretty quick to get used to. But regardless, you still have to be able to physically get back to these buttons to adjust your speed or go from forward to reverse, vice versa. But Remigo has solved that. We don't have the part with us today, but they actually make a little remote. It's quite small, can magnetically attach to the end of the tiller, or you can just hold it in your hand. It connects to the Remigo via Wi-Fi, works up to 49 feet away, and it's just a little remote with 2 buttons. We'll actually put a picture on the screen here, and you can hold that in your hand and adjust the speed with that. It's chargeable with USB-C, lasts for 10 hours on 1 charge or 30 days on standby mode. So that's, really kind of opened the door for more use cases for this in case you don't like having to get to the top of the shaft to adjust your speed. All right, so in a minute, we're gonna put this motor on our little dinghy, give it a try. But first we want to talk about adjusting the shaft length of this motor. So Remigo says that the shaft is adjustable between 15 and 23 inches. One thing to keep in mind is the highest that you can kind of bring this bracket up, or the longest you can make the shaft, would leave a 15 centimeter or about 6-inch gap right here. So you can't slide this up too high. To adjust it, you'll loosen these bolts and you can slide the motor up and down. In order to figure out the optimal shaft length for your boat, Remigo recommends having about 5 centimeters or 2 inches between the tip of the prop in a vertical position and the water line on your boat. So you can play around with that a little bit to see what works best. We have this pretty well set up for our dinghy, and at some point we'll make a longer video talking about exactly how to do all of that, but that should be enough to get you started. So let's head out on the water and give it a try. So we're on the water with the Remigo One. We'll show you how to put it onto the transom bracket, which we've pre-installed onto the transom of our dinghy here. So I'm just gonna flip it up, rest it vertically, and then bring the tiller straight. And we'll stand up. Just let that slide right on. And then we'll pop our pin in. And while we're here, we'll show you how to raise and lower the motor. There's a lever on the back of the transom bracket that I'm just gonna push back. And then I'm gonna push down on the tiller. And one of the things I really like about this design is that once you raise the motor up, if the tiller is straight, the motor stays in the middle there, right? If you have the tiller up, it also stays in the middle because that's what's locking your steering. Only if it were like that can the motor fall to the side. So a nice little design feature that Remigo has added there. To drop the motor back down into the water, we're going to push down on the tiller and this little lever here, and that unlocks it. And then you just want to make sure it really locks down before you get going. So now we're going to take our kill switch, also our key, pop it in, wait a second for it to power up, and then we'll head out onto the water and give it a try. All right, so we're out here on the water with the Remigo One. Right now we're at about 30% power. We can see that as indicated by the blue lights on the right-hand side of the screen. If I want to increase my speed, I'm just going to press this button. You can start to hear the motor move a little bit faster. If I want to decrease my speed, I'll just press the other button. If I want to stop, there's two ways to do it. One is just pull the kill switch out. Once we put it back on, it just takes a second to get going. And then the other way to stop, we'll just get back into forwards here, is to press both of these buttons at once. So either pulling the kill switch or pressing both buttons will stop the motor. If you want to use reverse, you'll just press that top button there. If you want to reduce your speed in reverse, just press the forward button. And if you keep pressing it, eventually you get to forward here. So you can see it's a little bit awkward. You know, if I want to adjust the speed and steer, I need both hands to do so. The other option there, if I only have one hand and I want to adjust my speed, is we can center that, adjust the speed, and then bring my hand back down to the tiller. One thing that I noticed right away with the Remigo is that it's significantly louder than other electric outboards. And it might be kind of hard for the sound to come through in the video, but we're going to go to full speed just so you can try and hear what that sounds like. And then as we slow down, of course, the motor gets a little bit quieter. But what we learned from Remigo is that it's actually not a direct drive motor, unlike the Torpedo and the e-propulsion in this size. So the motor actually isn't underwater, or at least not as much so as with those other motors, and that's why more of the sound comes through. Before we got the camera rolling, we did check our speed with Navionics, just the GPS on our phone, and we did find that our max speed was about 5 knots. So another thing that I noticed with the Remigo One is that the steering is a lot more sensitive. Right now you can see that the tiller is kind of offset to account for the wind here. It's a pretty breezy day, but if I move this just a little bit, we start to turn quite quickly and noticeably more quickly than with other electric outboards that we have. And the reason is the design of the Remigo, right? It's built around a rudder. So you're not only getting steering from the direction that the propeller is pushing water, but also how the shaft of the motor itself is directing the water, just like a sailboat's rudder. So I don't think that's necessarily good or bad. It just takes a little bit of getting used to, but it was an interesting thing that we noticed here. If you're thinking about buying the Remigo One, we do sell them in our online store. We ship anywhere in the Continental US, and we'll link our online store in the description below. If you're enjoying this video and you're interested in electric outboards, please subscribe to our channel. Doing so helps us make these videos. So just like the other electric outboards that we sell, there's very little that you have to do in the way of maintenance, especially compared to a combustion outboard. No winterization, and really not that much in the way of regular maintenance. When you're done with the Remigo for the season, you want to make sure you give it a good freshwater rinse. You want to check all 3 zincs, make sure that they don't need to be replaced, and also check the contacts in the charging port there. For winter storage, Remigo recommends that you store the motor somewhere that's between 59 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit, but definitely somewhere where the battery is not going to be regularly exposed to freezing temperatures. Another thing that Remigo recommends, that pretty much all of these electric outboard manufacturers recommend, is checking the state of charge every 3 months over the winter, right? And that's to make sure that the battery does not deeply discharge when it's not being used. If you've gotten below 50%, you want to charge it back up. They recommend between 50% and 80% for winter storage. And then the only other thing that Remigo recommends in terms of maintenance is every couple months, leaving the motor plugged in for an additional 12 to 24 hours after it's already fully charged. And they've told us that this helps balance the individual cells within the battery and helps extend the lifespan and battery capacity over time. So we've talked a lot about the things we really like about the Remigo, but we're not just giving you the good, we're giving you the bad too. And most of the bad with the Remigo are really trade-offs that you get in order to have an electric outboard that's so robust and has so few moving parts. So one of the drawbacks is there's not really any way to extend your range other than charging your battery. If you have a Torpedo Travel or e-propulsion Spirit, you can swap those batteries out, but this battery is built into the shaft, so obviously you can't swap it out. But at the same time, then you don't have those contacts, right, where that can get corroded and things like that. So it's all about trade-offs. Another trade-off that you have is these buttons and the lack of real runtime data, right? You can see your state of charge, but unlike Torpedo and e-propulsion motors, it won't tell you how much time you have left at your current speed before you run out of battery. And a number of people prefer a regular tiller over these little buttons. Again, I think it's just something you have to get used to a little bit, and there is the remote throttle option, but for some people that is a drawback. And finally, one of the things that bugs me about this motor is that it does not have multiple tilt and trim angles, right? We're either all the way down or all the way up. There's no shallow water angle in between. That's Also true for the e-propulsion Spirit. It's either all the way up or all the way down. Torqeedo is one of the only ones that we sell, at least this time, that has those multiple tilt angles for shallow water. So if that's important to you, the Torqeedo might be a better choice. But I think it's important to point out, because this shaft length is so customizable, it's less of an issue, right? You can adjust the shaft length so you're drawing as little water as possible. Whereas if you're getting an electric outboard from another manufacturer that has a set shaft length, you might end up with a shaft that's longer than you actually need, but it's the closest to your boat. So again, lots of trade-offs here. This might not be the perfect motor for everybody, but for some people, we think it's a great choice. So with all that in mind, who should buy the Remigo One and who shouldn't? To me, the Remigo One is great for a customer who has multiple boats with that require different shaft lengths. So if you do have multiple boats, right, you can adjust this shaft length and have it work across different boats. It's also a great choice for customers who are going to beat up their motor a little bit more than others, right? If you're a cruising sailor and this is going to live on the rail of your boat, I would much rather have a motor like the Remigo that's fully housed in aluminum rather than another electric outboard that has more plastic, more connections, and isn't quite as robust. The people who shouldn't buy the Remigo are people who want to be able to extend their range, either by using an external battery that's a higher capacity than 1 kilowatt hour or so, or people that really want to be able to swap out their batteries easily. Again, because it's built into the shaft, we just can't do that with the Remigo. And then if you like those extra features that you get with some of the Torqeedo and e-propulsion motors, like real runtime data, exact state of charge out of 100%, and little features like that, then one of those motors might be a better choice for you. But in terms of durability and simplicity, if those are important to you, I think the Remigo One is the way to go. We hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to purchase a Remigo One, you can do it at our online store. We ship these everywhere in the continental US. If you're interested in electric outboards, want to learn more about other electric outboards that we sell, please subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of great content on Torqeedo, e-propulsion, and electric boating in general, and subscribing helps us make this video. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.